All right. So risk management, there are only 4 ways to deal with risk. These are the 4 ways when it comes to managing risk. All right. So in order planning, these are the 4 ways to either A, reduce your risk. All right. So if the frequency of risk is high, you may want to reduce that possible frequency by putting measures in place. Second part is avoid risk. All right. Example, if sitting on a motorcycle is risk, then you don't take a motorcycle. All right. So you avoid the risk totally. All right. Retain risk. Here's where a lot of airlines actually retain the risk. Instead of outsourcing that risk, they will take on risk for a lot of claim. So in other words, this is called self-insured. So companies can also take that step. In fact, in Singapore, most companies take that step. And that's where the worry really comes from, right? Transfer of risk. This is where the easiest thing to do is to outsource. Today, business grows rapidly because why? They partner, they outsource, right? For low cost of premium, they will get someone to take on the risk. So these are how you can manage risk, right? So BCM practice is also to identify all this so they can reduce risk, or when risks occur, they can respond to risk, okay? So what's really easy is to transfer risk, right? So what is risk transfer? Okay, now just now we are having lunch, we had this discussion. I will give you a question, okay? What is it that you need to buy before you need it? And when you don't have it, when you need it, right, and you don't have it, too bad. What is this first thing that comes into your mind? The answer for this question particularly was talking about the BCM practice. They plan for everything. One thing lacking. It's called toilet paper. Right? So lunch we were talking about toilet paper. So again, right? Over here, the issue here is that planning is an essential part for risk management. Now my profession, I'm basically a risk management specialist. So we would contribute to programs and plan what is deemed important in terms of the planning process, especially on the financial part. All right. So this is my template. All right. If you got your iPhone, you'll take a template of this to be part of planning. I will stand beside it to pose for a photo right now. All right. You can take this down. These are very, very key essential risks that a company faces that could possibly discontinue a company. All right. So these are essential risks. So what are the risks? So top down we'll look. First one is D&O liability. What are D&O liabilities? These are directors and officers' liabilities. Right? I believe during lunch there's discussion going on about this risk that directors hold. Right? So directors are not afraid that hardware fail. Right? Because hardware fail, we can replace our hardware. But when litigation comes due to hardware malfunction, this is where directors and officers, CEOs, COOs, CFOs, CIOs, and other officers face problems due to failure of other parts of a company. Alright? It could be employees' negligence or malfunction to certain software or hardware, and litigation comes. Or more commonly, competitors will put directors in a tight spot. Right? I'll just sue you, keep you busy, answering letters from my lawyers. Right? So there's also cost here. Right? So if a director is being cheap, hire a cheap lawyer, right? The risk can be quite catastrophic. Right? So over here, this kind of risk, directors and officers' liabilities can also be transferred out. Right? Second one that can cripple or discontinue a company is key man and business succession. We talk about hardware failure. What about coreware failure? If today, as a director, I drop dead right now, right? Can my business continue after me? Can I still fulfill all contracts prior to my death? And if not, are there liabilities of not doing so? Or what about my key man? Right? Are the employed directors or CEOs that's in that position having an immediate death situation? Now, first of all, a lot of things come to our mind thinking about, what about the family asking for compensation? But as a business owner or other key personnel in the company, you will be thinking about, will this company last beyond the director? All right? So these are measures to put in place. I'll touch a little bit more about this area, business succession. Right? So it's a little bit more different from most of the topics that is being spoken over these 2 days. Other areas is business interruption and consequential loss. Right? A lot of planning goes around this business interruption. Server down, right? Flooding or ponding, right? There could be floods in offices 27-story high, right? Because of what? Water pipe bursting, or even water sprinkler damaging your office and hardwares, right? So all these are consequential loss. And it's quite easy. You just need to pick up an insurance program that covers this, right? Anytime, if the damage is caused by known perils, things like fire, flooding, explosion, right? Lightning striking your servers, right? So these are things that can be covered over consequential loss. So they'll take care of the cost while the BCM practice can engage in that process, right? Because the worst thing is that when people turn around to their bosses and ask, hey boss, how? Boss usually will say or ask you back a question, right? How much? Okay, no? So you can go to your boss and tell them, if no insurance, not much, right? So the whole thing is that the cost has to be paid by someone. The question is who? So you can transfer it out and let a professional company take on this cost and pay for business interruption and consequential loss. All right? The other area is work injury compensation. This one is basically all bosses know that they need to get this for their workers, right? Salary workers. The liabilities required here, or required to cover here, is 140,000 per worker. All right? However, it is not limited, right? Or rather, it is unlimited needs of risk management for common law. So, as your role as a boss, you can cover, right, directors or company owner, you can cover your workers, right? What is needed to cover is 140,000. That's your obligation. However, if there's death occurred to a worker and the family member decides to sue, it is unlimited. All right? So example here is that if today I send a worker overseas, or I send a staff overseas, and his job is to present in Resort World and stay in this hotel, being overseas, right? So he's in a hotel, and he's working over the night preparing for a presentation like this, and heart attacks strike in his hotel room when he's overseas, right, over a weekend, right? You know what that? Yeah. So over here, what will happen is that this is also deemed as a work injury, and that is claimable under WICA, or Work Injury Compensation Act. So these are all necessary stuff, and this is where we come in to identify what are the risks and gaps a company have planning for its risk, right? Other areas will be general liability, namely product liability and public liability. So someone walked into your office, trip, fall, and die. What happened? Or even, let's say an accident occurred there. So there's liability involved in such a situation. So insurance can come into play to take care of that. Because things like this can cripple a company. But because directors, officers are trained in their field, and their specialized field, in this case here, IT, no one to look into this subject matter, risk management, financial. So there are companies who actually set up departments for risk management. But the easier way is to outsource. Give us a call, we are able to access that for you. So you don't have to put us on your payroll, so it's a use per pay basis, right? Now, other areas, commercial crime and fidelity. What's the famous commercial crime and fidelity event that took place in Raffles City, a watch shop? You remember this Cortina watch, is that right? How much did he take? Several millions, right? Worth of watches. So who bear that cost of replacing? Well, if the company do not have insurance, right, rest assured, they will no longer be around because the cost of loss is such high cost. But is it often this happen? So it's a low frequency but high damage. And the weakest link in most companies are their internal staff, right? Be it for IT, be it for fidelity and theft, and commercial crime. Things that happens in commercial crime usually is all inside job. All right. So these are also risks, and this one here is a new emergent risk for companies. It's called cyber liability. Later, I'll also touch on that. So